Nonsense. And the Dodgers.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Rock Chronicles. I'm Uncle Taz here with Donald, and joining us today is Rob. And I got to say, we're hearing all the news from the winter meetings, and where we are supposed to be surprised, we are not, as the Yankees have not had any news come through. But one thing I am excited about is that Rob is with us today. It was a great surprise. Donald was very happy to surprise me, as these two knuckleheads that I work with kept me completely out of the loop that Rob was coming on. Rob, listen, you have not had the floor for a while, so I'm throwing it to you. What is your take on all the headlines from the off season so far?
What headlines? There haven't been any. They haven't done anything. It's good to be here, though. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Good to see you guys. Good to see Donald and Tats, of course. The Yankees have not done anything remotely newsworthy yet. They've done a lot of yapping, which is kind of typical for them this time of the year. Healing men's hearts. Good to see you. I don't like that they're still pursuing Bellinger despite Cashman saying that two left-handed. It's kind of like contradictory. We're two left-handed, so let's go get a left-handed outfielder. Make it make sense. I'm hoping they do something soon, because if they go through the winter meetings and not a single move gets done, it's just going to feel like everything that we've been fearing is going to happen, that they're just going to really stand pat and just roll it back with the same team minus Bellinger and Devin Williams, kind of addition by subtraction. But it's not been looking pretty. Then again, the Yankees sometimes will just find a way to make a move that surprises us. Apparently, they're in on the trade market heavily, more so than free agency. So maybe you can look for an addition to the rotation there. I would love for them to go get Imai. I know they're still linked to him. That would be a dream signing for me. If there's some right-handed bats that I would like to get. But really, the whole offseason has just been this front office kind of just disagreeing with each other, and it makes me as a fan just kind of go, what the hell are they doing? If Hal Steinbrenner is like, we got to clean up the defense, and then Tim Nearing is like, we play a great brand of baseball, Brian Cashman saying, oh, the Volpe injury affected him more than we thought, and Aaron Boone goes, I don't think so. How are we supposed to believe in this front office that these four morons can't get on the same page about simple stuff? And just, it's like, what are we to expect from this team, that they want to go win a championship but they can't agree on something as small as Anthony Volpe's atrocious season? Blame it on the injury, blame it on the play, blame it on the program, blame it on the process. I don't know what they want to do. This is a team that makes 1,000,001 excuses every year, and then when it comes to Anthony Volpe, it's just like, no, he's fine, he'll be great. And Tim Nearing somehow saying that they're a good team or the development's great. Look at Anthony Volpe. That should be the complete opposite of how your development is. How do you bring him up as a positive? Just recent, look at Anthony Volpe. He's gotten worse in 3 years. He's a former top 5 prospect that's gotten worse in your development system. The only one that can really be looked at as a success story is Judge, because I can't give that to Schlittler just yet. It's been one season or half a season. We've seen other players come and go that have gotten better without the Yankees program or process, whatever they want to call it. So I need to see something for me to get excited for this season. I mean, I don't think the team is terrible roster-wise, but I just don't believe in the leadership, and I haven't believed in the leadership for many, many years. So I'm just kind of like confused and almost just laughing about it. Like, this is really the Yankees trust fund right here. Like, this is what the Yankees have leading the pack, is Hal Steinbrenner, Tim Nearing, Brian Cashman, and Aaron Boone, 4 buffoons that can't get on the same page about the simplest things, and I'm supposed to believe that these are the 4 guys that are right for the job to go win a championship. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, who just won back-to-back World Series, are like, let's just go fucking add the best closer in baseball because we can. It's just, it's like, what are we doing here, man? And God, I'm hoping that something turns around quickly. It's just been really confusing, and it's kind of numbing at this point. This is what I expect from them.
To one of the original talking points I wanted to start with, we saw at the end of the regular season, Boone made the comment how he would love to run this team back and go at it again with the same guys. And I mentioned to you guys in the conversation how it gave Cashman and Hal a green light to do nothing. And it almost seems like they're actually taking him at his word. And then you listen to him yesterday in the reports. He's talking about how he doesn't get involved with, with players and recruitment. Well, what manager does not tell that, wouldn't you want to communicate with your GM what your needs are and where you want to go forward for you to actually manage a successful team? It's almost like, we talk about contradictions. He's double talking himself. He's contradicting himself the way he presents, where, they're into the market, they're not in the market. And he's like, but I stay out of it. I don't get involved. To me, I think that just is it's just another strike against them as far as being a leader for this club.
Right. I agree with that for sure.
I mean, Donald, we saw over the last couple of days, we're waiting with bated breath for something. But all we're getting is just, like we said the other day, we're tired of all the speculating and the rumors. We want to see something, with something solid that we can actually start discussing of what the future of this club is going to be. We're not getting it.
Yeah, you're onto something about Aaron Boone, man. You would hope that he would project more leadership and more involvement, but it's quite clear that he isn't. It's quite clear that he isn't. So let's talk about what Aaron Boone had to say. Now, Aaron Boone really does not project himself as much of a leader. So we're gonna get the tweet up, which I wouldn't say it raised a red flag, but it just, because we kind of know this already about him, but it's just once again another example that he's just not a leader. He's just not a leader. This is what he had to say. Aaron Boone says the gap between the Yankees and the Blue Jays is quote unquote smaller than what people perceive. We ended with identical records last year. I don't want to discount that they kicked our ass last year. Don't take it out of context. They were a great team last year. I mean, what he said isn't wrong necessarily, but again, is that what you really want to be projecting? That's not. It's not what a leader says. It comes across weak and kind of soft, like, oh, we're not that far behind. Oh, we're not that far behind. Not that bad. It's just like, that's not a leader, man. That's not a leader of men. That's not someone that projects any kind of confidence and an air of like, yeah, we got this. He should have said a bunch of different things. He could have said something, for instance, like, they absolutely owned us, and it's not right, and I'm not going to accept it, and we're going to work doubly hard, trebly hard at what we need to improve on in order to overtake them. We have the talent, so it's down to us to be better. That sounds a hell of a lot better than, well, we're not that bad. Like, that's really
we're bad, but we're not as bad as you think.
It's weak sauce. And then, when you really do a deep dive, you look at the ALDS, man. The ALDS says that we are actually that bad. We got outscored 28-10 in our 3 losses in the ALDS. We gave up 34 runs in 4 games against the Dodgers. Against the Jays. 28-10, we got outscored in our 3 losses against the Jays in the 3 games. Doesn't that tell you that we're pretty far behind? That's a football score. That's a blowout in football, let alone a blowout in baseball, right? So, I mean, I'm sorry. And then, of course, we lost the head to head against the Jays, convincingly lost the head to head against the Jays in 2025. So, to say, oh, we're not that far off, I mean, that's not just
Yeah, you
not
are.
true. It is just not that true. You are that far off. And it just speaks to a level of delusionment, just a delusional manager. But it's not just him being delusional. The whole organization is delusional. The whole organization, right across the board, is delusional, and that's what I'm railing against. And us as a channel, we need to really fight against that because the Yankees are so delusional and self-satisfied. I keep saying it every episode, but they are. And they need to learn that this is not acceptable. You can't be talking like this. You can't be talking just like everything's great. Like, what world are you in where everything's great and everything's sunshine and rainbows? I mean, look at the reality, guys. I mean, remember when a couple of years ago there was a major red flag when Aaron Boone says the league is catching up on us?
Yep.
I mean, that was a major red flag then. I mean, and since then, the league is completely lapped us. So, I mean, what is it now? If the league was catching up to us a couple of years before, now it's well and truly lapped. So, I mean, we need to have some kind of reality check on these guys. What Tim Naring said was like Twilight Zone stuff. And what Brian Cashman said about that we have every position filled and that we're really great roster. Like what planet are these guys on? Because it's not giving you any kind of hope that they are really looking at themselves going, right, how can we improve? This is what we need to improve on. This is how we can do it. It doesn't give you that. It kind of gives you an air of self-satisfaction, sort of like, yeah, we finished above 500 again. Tip of the cap to me. Like,
why is it? I understand that's the first, rung of the ladder for success is to get above 500, but that can't be you can't push your chest out for that.
No.
Yeah, it was fun when we were winning, and yes, we've had this incredible run of being successful, and as close to a playoff guarantee team than any team in history, especially since '93. Now, because it's not sustainable anymore. Like I said, the last show, Donald, it's and Ron, the talent is too spread out in the league anymore for the Yankees to regain their dominance. But we see it with but the Dodgers have been able to find a way to do it, but the Yankees haven't. And we're gonna get into what happened with Diaz and the impact on the league and how it's going to affect the rest of the off season. But to keep it to the Yankees right now, there's so much miscommunication across the board. You can't have Cashman saying one thing and Boone saying another, so that means they're not talking. You can't have, and the biggest thing is Boone is saying, to my opening point, Boone saying that he doesn't get involved with the free agents. He leaves that for the front office. Meanwhile, the captain of the team is the one speaking up to say what players they want. Why is the captain have a stronger voice than the manager? I'm sorry. That's not structurally possible. It's not sustainable.
I'd rather Judge be in charge of this team than Boone at this point, but I mean, it seems like that's the case anyway. It's just something that we've been talking about for 5 years here, and going back to that point that Donald just made about the league catching up to them. I made this point 5 years ago where I said the Yankees were going backwards on the track while everyone else was going forwards, and that continues to be the case in terms of getting lapped because they just continue to do things the wrong way. And all the players that we talked about this a few weeks ago that they could have had and they didn't get, and they're still paying for that right now because they have like 4 players that are not on the roster that are paying this year, and I think, or it might be 3, but LeMahieu being one of them, and it's just bad allocation of funds. And the thing is for the Yankees is the players that they could go get that can fix the team's issues, because I don't think they're too far off in terms of where they are roster wise. I don't think they need to make like 8 or 9 signings. They need to make a couple of moves here and there. You've got a pretty damn good team. They did win 94 games despite having a summer of hell, despite having a closure that couldn't close, despite having a manager that decides to change the defensive alignment midseason. They still managed to win 94 games. So it's like they're not that far off in terms of having the talent. It's there. Ben Rice is really good. Austin Wells should be better. I love Dominguez. I think he needs to get more run. I think at 1 season of Grisham, I'll take that again. Aaron Judge is the best player in the world. McMahon, I think, is going to be fine this year. And you still have Jazz. You have a really good pitching staff when it's healthy, but you can add to that. The answers to your problems are sitting there in free agency. You need a right-handed bat. Why are you not going after Pete Alonso or Bo Bichette or even Okamoto? All 3 of those guys are a better addition to this team than Bellinger at this point. It's not to take anything away from Bellinger, but how are you going to say you're too left-handed and be like, we really want this guy back? Well, now you're even more left-handed than you already were. The Yankees' current lineup has 2 true right-handed bats, or 3, and that's Caballero, Judge, and Stanton. You know that Stanton's going to need time off because it happens every year. I don't know if Caballero's a guy you want, and then you're going to replace him anyway when Volpe's healthy. So you really have 2 right-handers that you can say are going to play almost every single day because eventually Stanton's going to need the time off. How are you going to go get another lefty? And you need to replace Bellinger's bat, too. He hit 29 home runs, I think, 98 ribbies. I know defensively all 3 of those guys are going to be worse than what Bellinger would bring you, but you need to add offense because right now the Yankee offense is not the best. And it's just the answers are there, and the Yankees are just playing this penny-pinching game, and are they going to go under 300? I highly doubt it. How much over are they going to go? What's the budget? They never seem to give you an actual answer. Oh, we're open to anything. They say that every single year. They're open to anything. And every year we hear that they're interested in so-and-so. They're interested in so-and-so. And they never get any of them. they were interested in Corey Seager. They didn't get him. They were interested in Bryce Harper. They didn't get him. They were interested in Yamamoto. They didn't get him. So it's just like, who are they interested in this year? I just think that the Yankees, dare I say the George Yankees, would have made at least 1 or 2 significant moves at this point. And again, the answers are out there. Whether it's the trade market or the free agent market, they have the resources, whether it's prospects. They have the pitching that teams want. They have the money that players want. And yet they're going to try to tell us that they got to pay the shareholders and they got to pay the city and every excuse in the book, and we don't want to hear that. We just want to get a team that's going to go win a lot more games. Oh, what's going on? Good to see you. Man, it's been a while. Where's he been at?
He popped in the other day. Actually, it's also I gotta give you a call later. Let me know, if you're available around 11:00. Let me know around 11:30 ish. We'll catch up. But I think you're on to something. It's the left-handed lineup. I think is going to bury us, and it's sad to say that at Yankee Stadium with the short porch, that being 2 lefty is actually hurting the Yankees because you don't have the right left-handed bats to actually take advantage of that. Because they have to. It's all about balance, right? We say all the time, if you don't have a balanced lineup, what do you have? You don't have anything. You don't have, you have to have your balance of power hitters and contact hitters. That's the first point of balance. The other balance is with your pitching. You're gonna, you need righty lefty in the rotation, which we have. I think the rotation is fine. The bullpen is becoming a little more of a question mark. But if you can't dominate to the dimensions of your home ballpark, you kind of you have a lot more work to do than you think.
Do you know, it's not the moves that the Yankees haven't made or have made to this point, which concerns me because the market is moving slowly. It's not the moves. It's really the fact that the Yankees are so self-satisfied. That's what concerns me because they really need to be far more urgent about where they're at and far more aware of where they're at. So if they actually just kind of came out and were quite honest and didn't try and gaslight us, and they were quite honest about, you know what, Anthony Volpe did not take the step forward that we needed, and there are some mechanical issues that we need to work on behind the scenes. I mean, is that really throwing anyone under the bus? No, it's not. It's just telling you the truth. Instead, you got Tim Naring saying he's part of a core. You got Brian Cashman saying that he's very, very good player, and he's like been a great player. And I'm like, what planet are these people on? These are our leaders, right? We're looking to them, and they are talking nonsense. That's not true. It's just not true. It's laughable, actually, you know? And yeah, I mean, and Hal Steinbrenner saying, you know, I didn't like the mentality at times, and I didn't like the mental mistakes that we were making, and we didn't play well for 2 months, so we made a change. It's the base running coach. It's just like, hello. You know, it also says to me that Aaron Boone is completely irrelevant. He is completely irrelevant. Now, I know that the role of manager has completely changed over the years. You know, there's no longer a Joe Torre, and there's no longer those kind of dudes. You know what I'm saying? But Aaron Boone is just completely irrelevant. I mean, he's already basically said, I don't care. I don't really care what Brian Cashman does. I've got 2 years left on my contract. You know what I'm saying? When he was interviewed after the Yankees lost to the Blue Jays, he was like, I've got 2 years on my contract. I'm fine. It's like, you know, and then, but even more to the point, when he said that Anthony Volpe's injury didn't have that much of an effect on him, right? Yet Brian Cashman said it had every effect on him. And that when they opened him up for surgery, that's when they realized his injury was much worse than it was. But he didn't give Aaron Boone the full details. Well, why didn't you? Isn't this the organization where communication and all that stuff is so key, and that Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are in lockstep? Isn't that what this whole thing was about? Well, you're not giving Aaron Boone all the information that he requires to do his job, then, are you? So that's actually on Brian Cashman, but Aaron Boone is just perfectly content with it. Just like, I don't know, I've got 2 years left in my contract, man. I'll just manage these dudes, whoever I've got to manage, and call it good. Like, is that an organization that really sounds like it's really like hell bent on winning? Let's be perfectly honest. The stuff that they say is just like, are these guys even like locked in at all? And so, as I say, it's not the moves that they have or haven't made, because they will make moves. And I'm sure they're talking to a bunch of people right now. I completely understand the market is slow. That's fine. The Dodgers set the market. I realize that now. The Yankees used to set the market. Now it's the Dodgers that set the market. But I'm not complaining about the moves. I'm just complaining about what we hear from them. They just sound delusional. They sound completely delusional. And there's nothing more delusional than what Tim Naring said on the Yes Network. And that was just hilarious. That was just absolutely hilarious. Where he said that they play a clean brand of baseball. And that this is my favorite. He said that Aaron Boone is a details-oriented manager. Aaron Boone is a lot of things, right? And I'm not going to hate on the guy because he does have a lot of positive traits. He's very much a player's manager, right? That's what he is. He's not a details-oriented manager. He doesn't manage by details, not by any stretch of the imagination. Not by yeah, okay, Duron, you say analytics, but let's be truth. Aaron Boone said that he's the least analytically driven manager in the AL East. Right? So what do we believe? But I just love that. Aaron Boone is this details-oriented manager, and he makes sure that everybody is in the right spot, and that they're throwing to the right base and all that. And Hal Steinbrenner just called him out on it. Well, not him, but the organization out on it. So you guys are not in lockstep whatsoever, and that's what worries me. None of these guys are in lockstep. It sounds like the only person that was truthful was frickin' Hal, and I'm hardly feeling Hal right now with some of the stuff that he said, crying poverty. But he's the only dude that was honest. He's like, yeah, I didn't like the base running mistakes. I didn't like the mental mistakes. Well, Tim Naring is saying that the mental mistakes, that they don't exist. They are brilliant. Yankee clean brand of baseball. The Dodgers laughed at the Yankees clean brand of baseball 2 seasons ago. Last season ago, they were giving up like errors, like they were handing out frickin' Skittles. And like, what are we doing here? It's just, this organization is so delusional. It's like mind blowing. It's like I just can't.
Yeah, Rob.
It's like they don't know that they're the problem. That's what I said 2 years ago, or a year and a half, whatever it was, and I kept repeating myself. The biggest changes that they could make are internally, because I don't think the roster is that bad. There's some talent there. They're not wrong about that. It's just they need a few tweaks. The bullpen needs help. The rotation definitely needs help. I don't care that we have guys coming back. I'm not ready to crown Garrett Cole the Cy Young because he's going to come back in June now. They kept saying, oh, it's May. Now the timeline's June. Rodon was April. Now it's probably going to be May. So you don't know when they're coming back for sure, and you don't know what they're going to be when they come back. We don't know what Cam Schlittler is. We don't know what Heal's going to be if he's healthy enough. You can't just be like, go get him, Max. And what happens if someone gets hurt? We saw 3 guys get hurt in spring training in a matter of a week last year. If Yarborough goes down, we're fucked. Yarborough's on number 5. If Warren goes down, we're fucked. You need another starter. You need another starter, maybe even a couple. Maybe some minor league signings to go along with a guy like Imai. But they have holes in the rotation. They have holes in the bullpen. Not significant that they have to go and sign 8 players, but they need to fill some roles. And all we keep hearing from a guy like Jack Curry is like, I don't know if they're going to go get those players. And he's linking us to one free agent. The Yankees are interested in Kyle Tucker, is what John Heyman's just saying on Twitter. No, they're not. You're putting them out there so you can drive up the views and you can drive up the price a little bit. That's all he's doing. He's just being a mouthpiece for the player. I don't even think it's a Boris agent, but still. We know they're not going to get Tucker. We know they're not going to get Bichette. But why aren't they in on a Bo Bichette? I know defensively he's not great, but wouldn't he be the answer to your left-handed problem? Wouldn't he replace Bellinger's bat? Wouldn't he give you an opportunity to give that left field job to Dominguez or Spencer Jones, the guys who you refuse to trade? Wouldn't that open up opportunities around the roster? Why aren't you attacking the relief pitching market right now when it's kind of cheap to go get solid middle relief? They're interested in Brad Keller. That'd be great. Go get another lefty. Solidify your roster before spring training. That's what they didn't do last year. And I don't think there are too many holes. If you want to bring back Rosario, fine, but don't tell me he's going to be the starter at shortstop or something, or he's going to mix time with Caballero, because nobody wants to hear that. Bringing back Rosario to strengthen the bench is fine, but there's answers out there. Trades, free agents, and what are they going to go trade for Mackenzie Gore? Probably not. They're linked to every name. They're linked to Skubal. They're not going to get Skubal. I would love to say they're going to go get Imai and go get Okamoto and go trade for this player and that player. And I would have loved for them to sign Edwin Diaz, but we all know that's not realistic with the way the Yankees operate. And it all ties back to the fact that these four that we're hearing from this offseason, because we haven't heard from Levine yet. I don't really want to hear from that moron, but the four guys that we've heard from that are at the top of the mountain for this organization are all saying different things, but they're all kind of speaking similar nonsense at the same time. They believe their shit doesn't stink. That's
Right.
really what it comes down to. Their process is flawless, and they used Anthony Volpe of all people to show you that their process is good, when he should be the example of why your process is bad or flawed. Because I think they develop players well in the minors. When they get here, different story. I think they draft really well. I think they scout really well. But how are you going to tell us that the recent examples of Wells and Volpe tell you that they got a core or whatever it was that Nearing said? Wells got worse this year. He was okay offensively, but Anthony Volpe, I mean, if you reversed his career, you would see a player that's getting very minimally better every year. And that's being polite. Instead, it's the opposite, where he's gotten worse every year. How are you using him as an example of a core? Why is he still the guy at shortstop? Every excuse in the book to defend him. And I like Anthony Volpe, but how can you? I say it all the time. I get it. You got to give a player 3 years. Well, it's been 3 years. He's played almost every single game for 3 years, and he's gotten worse every single game for 3 years. Why is he the guy? Why is he the guy?
From Brian Cashman, guys. Let's have a look at it. Shout out to Fireside Yankees. Okay, we're just staying engaged, trying to match up with some things, but it's been tough so far. Don't like the ask coming our way, and I guess the opposing teams don't like what I'm trying to pull from them. We do have some conversations that possibly could lead somewhere. All right.
See, that reads to me as other
he also
GMs
said
are
it's
tied
moving at
up.
a glacial pace. Everything's moving at a glacial pace. Bellinger, free agent market, trade market, all moving at a glacial pace.
Yeah, to me that reads as Cashman's other organizations are tired of his bullshit, and tired of him. We've mentioned a few, like the catches. We've seen them be successful. In other places. Michael Kay. Like we have seen players that we've moved on from, do really well, but we've also seen the other side of it. And yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't want, it all depends on what we don't know any of the, obviously there's no names involved. So we're really not sure who he's even referring to. But
that's a good thing. I don't need
you
to
have
know
all these, but to what you were saying before, they have all these prospects. They do really well in the minor leagues. And they're ready to come up. And when they get here, they fall off a cliff. So is it the developmental stage, or is it the major league manager and that coaching staff? Is that the problem? I'm leaning more towards it's the management. It's the manager on the MLB level and the coaches that are surrounding him.
It's exactly what it is.
But
look at Volpe. I'm sorry to cut you off, but look at Volpe in the minor leagues before he had that breakout in spring. Look at Austin Wells' numbers in the minors. We were like, to call this guy up from Double-A right away. Look at Dominguez, what he was doing. Look at Spencer Jones last year. Despite having to change his stance 100 times, he was murdering pitching in the minor leagues last year. I can guarantee you he's going to get called up at some point next year if they don't trade him, and he'll probably strike out 5 times in a row. And people are going to say, oh, you should have traded him. And it's because they just don't know what to do with a player when they get him here. They take everything that they did well, and they say, do the opposite. Peraza is a perfect example. That dude could hit anything in AAA and AA. The base running, the defense, they took that away from him. They refused to use it, even if a guy like Florial was a minimal outfielder at best at the major league level. They refused to use him because Billy McKinney had to get called up. It's just the way that they operate. They don't want to trade players, but they don't want to use them and use them at their strength, at their highest value. And they don't want to let them do what got them here. You got it. Pete Rose said it a long time ago about when he was talking about not changing your swing. That's what got you to the dance. He was on Fox Sports, and it was a great demonstration. He goes, your swing's what got you to the majors. don't change it. He would just kind of change a few things about how he would stand in the box, how he would hold the bat. But the Yankees would be like, hey, you're pretty good with that splitter in the minors, but we want you to throw a cutter now. And then the pitcher just falls off a cliff. Hey, you were swinging a pretty level swing, but we want you to get the ball in the air more, so go with an uppercut, Anthony Volpe. You're not a power hitter, but we want you to hit the ball in the air more because we need you to have 20 home runs, even though you were not supposed to be that guy coming up. And you know what Tim Neering brought up? He said Gary Sanchez. He brought him up as an example of like how their process is good. And I'm thinking, you killed that poor kid, and you're going to use his name. You dare bring up my Gary to support your narrative that your process is good. You ruined that poor kid. That was supposed to be the next. He was supposed to be him and Judge and Sevy. That was the core, and Greg Bird too. We forgot about him, right? And they ruined 3 of those 4 players. Aaron Judge is the only success story from this system in the last decade. Because I'm not ready to give that title to Schlittler just yet. I hope he breaks that, but I can't give it to anybody else, really. Maybe Clark Schmidt, but he hasn't been healthy enough to say that.
Thank you. Maybe give it to Ben Rice. I'm more than happy to give it to Ben Rice. But by the way, Ben Rice and Aaron Judge have share the same hitting coach.
There you
and it's
go.
different from the Yankees organizational hitting coach. So I wonder if there might be something in that. One team that continues to be setting the standard in baseball is the Dodgers.
Yes. And
I fully respect the Dodgers. I have nothing but respect for them. I think they're just a class act organization. Their front office is so forward thinking. They're so spot on, and they're always trying to get better. They have never once lied to their fans saying, everything's great. Let's just leave it at that. No, they're actually wanting to continually get better. They've won back-to-back championships, and guess what? They've just now got the best closer in baseball. They've now got Diaz. They signed a big-time closer last year. Didn't work. It's not going to stop them this year. Went and got Diaz off the Mets. Now the Mets are scrambling. That's what big teams do. That's what the Dodgers do, man. They set the market. Now, I'm not like crying that Diaz is going to the Dodgers because the Yankees were never involved, and nor should they have been involved. We've got our closer. I'm fine with that. But it's an example of where the Dodgers are. They're just light years ahead of the Yankees now. Light years. And by the way, they are negotiating with Tariq Skubal. They are negotiating to make a deal with Tariq Skubal.
And they're still in on Tucker.
And they're in on Tucker, and they're also in on Bellinger. So they might get they'll probably get one of the two. They could get Bellinger for a high AAV, low years kind of a situation. And regardless of whether they get Belly or not, they might be just driving the price up. And if they do, good on them, because that's what smart teams do. But there's an anchor in LA that is saying that the deal for Skubal is at the 1 yard line. Now, I don't know much about this anchor in LA. He might be full of it, but I don't know. I don't know if anchors in LA would want to be saying something as big as that and then be wrong. But it doesn't really sound like something that wouldn't be true, because this is what the Dodgers do. So whether they get Skubal or not, they are very much active in those trade talks and want to land them, and they want to extend them, and there's nothing that would stop them from doing so. So I think that they're just on a league of their own, a class of their own, and they act the way that the Yankees should act. They act
the way the Yankees used to act, and the Yankees don't have the ability to act that way anymore. Not under the ownership group that they have. The Yankees aren't gonna. They're not gonna be financially compete with the Dodgers. They can, but they won't. Because of everything that Hal laid out, it told you everything. The Yankees are going to act. They're going to work within the parameters they've set for themselves. They're not going to raise the bar. They're not going to try to change the narrative. they're going to they're going to stay in their lane, and that's it. Where the Dodgers are going, see, right now, with everything that happened yesterday, what it wasn't that they just signed a closer. Here's a couple of tidbits here. There's the Dodgers, and there's 29 other teams in baseball. Right? They even put Cohen in the Hal status, the way that they just manipulated the market. Over $3 million for a closer. And what made that signing yesterday so significant is what you had said, Donald. They signed Tanner Scott last year to be their closer. It didn't work. Rather than letting Scott go one more year to see if they can get anything out of him, they're like, you know what? We're just going to get another closer. We still have Scott. But you know what? You didn't do it for us last year. We're not going to wait for you to try to do it again. We're just going to get somebody to replace you. And they just keep turning this roster over and over again because they keep winning. They just won back-to-back World Series. Nobody's done that since the Dynasty Yankees. And they won back-to-back World Series. Are they going, you know what? We're good. No. They're going to be better. If they're able to pull off the rest of the moves that they want, I have nothing bad to say. I'm not going to trash talk the Dodgers. Because this is what we used to do to every team when George was around. So we can't enjoy it then, but then criticize it now. I'm not going to be a hypocrite like that.
No.
But what I am going to say is it is going to, especially with the looming lockout, it's going to be a black eye on the game. I think that, you know, it's going to hurt them in that aspect. As far as the if no other team can compete, why play? You know, I know that's semi-hypocritical to what I was just saying, but it's almost like, you know, you had the Pirates were in on who just signed with the Phillies? They just brought him back. Schwarber, thank you.
Nice move.
And you saw that the Pirates were in on it, and you're going, holy crap. Like, if the Pirates do that, I think that would be more of a positive swing for baseball as opposed to the Dodgers just signing everybody.
Almost every team can do what the Dodgers are doing to some degree. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to spend nearly $400 million on their payroll, but most of these owners can go out and spend more than they are. It's not a Dodger problem. Baseball does not have a Los Angeles Dodger problem. They have a Miami Marlins problem. They have a Pittsburgh Pirates problem. They have a Tampa Bay Rays problem. Up until last offseason, they had an Athletics problem, wherever they're going to play in a couple of years. Vegas, I guess. But there's more problems with the bottom feeder teams, if you want to call them that don't spend enough. That's why they keep hearing it. He needs a salary floor. That's what I think Hal said that as well. Even Dave Roberts was like, yeah, he would say that. I think he said he'd be in support of a salary cap. Believe it or not, of all the people, the manager of the team that's just spending and spending. So it's like you need to bring in that floor and kind of do it similar to the way the NBA does. I think that's what he was trying to allude to. But like, it's just there's a lot more issues in Major League Baseball than the Los Angeles Dodgers spending to win because they're not doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
What are they doing wrong? Hey, we want to go get a good player, so we're going to go sign a good player. The league allows you to spend as much as you want, and depending on how much you spend, you got to give a little bit back in the more back in the luxury tax. So, what are the Dodgers doing wrong? And I'm seeing Yankee fans be like, they're ruining baseball. It's like, did you not see what we did? I know it didn't lead to championships in the mid-2000s, but like Gary Sheffield, we went and got A-Rod just for the hell of it. Just so he didn't go to Boston. We got Teixeira just so he didn't go to Boston. And that won us the World Series. But like the Yankees used to be in on everyone. And they would get almost everyone they wanted. Sometimes they didn't. They made some mistakes back then too, like not getting Vlad Guerrero. But you know that's another story. But they were usually in on the big ticket free agents every year. And you would always have to be aware, like, hey, if you want this guy, you're going to have to outbid the New York Yankees to get him. That's what the Dodgers are doing now. So how can I sit here as a Yankee fan with this NY on my hat, with this New York on my chest, with this Yankee shit all over my room and say, well, they're ruining baseball. Well, they're bad for the sport. Shut up. They're not bad for the sport. Because if the Yankees were winning championships and doing that, you would be screaming at anybody saying you're buying championships, because we did the same thing years ago when we were winning championships. You guys are buying championships. No, we're not. We're just doing within what the rules say we can do, and we're beating you down because of it. Dodgers are going to keep getting better because they're going to keep printing money. Thanks to Ohtani, thanks to Yamamoto, thanks to winning. We want Kyle Tucker, let's go get him. We want Edwin Diaz, let's go get him. You know what's significant about that Diaz? It was only $3 million, whatever it was. He wants to go win.
Yep.
That's what it means. The Mets they got a solid roster there, and they have the financial backing of their owner to go get anyone they want. But he's like, I want to go win. He wasn't doing that with the Mets last year. They didn't make the playoffs last year. They just got Juan Soto, and he's like, I'm going to leave the team that just gave out the richest contract ever, but I want to go win. That's pretty
Queens
significant.
Is the place everybody wants to play for, Rob. You remember that narrative last year. Queens is the place to be now.
Listen, those grimace-worshipping freaks can have whatever
that's for Nick
crack they're snorting. The same cocaine since 1986 they've been snorting. This isn't about them. What it's about is the fact that the Dodgers are winning and winning and winning, and team and players are going to want to go there because the Dodgers are saying, hey, we're going to go for a three-peat. You want to join? Yeah. I mean, would you, if you're a player, if you're a top free agent, if you're Kyle Tucker and you got the Dodgers saying you want to come here and go get a championship, be part of a three-peat, or do you want to go play for the Yankees, who might be able to get by the first round in the playoffs? You know, like that. I hate to say that because I try to be positive. I do think the Yankee roster is good, but like the Dodgers are steamrolling baseball. And the Yankees are just like, they're struggling to get by their own division rivals. And then the manager's like, we're not as far off as you think. Dodgers are like, we're going to make sure that we kick your ass, and then we're going to laugh at you for doing it.
Right.
Dave Roberts literally did that. Like, they celebrated winning the NLCS, and he goes, let's go ruin the sport again. Like, he's laughing in your face while winning the championship. Dude, do that more. I support that. I don't like giving the Dodgers a lot of credit, but hey, what they're doing is what I would want to see my team do. Whatever it takes to go all out and win. Because at the end of the day, this is a game. The point of any game that you play, no matter what game it is, whether you're playing fucking Monopoly or checkers or Madden NFL football, you want to win. The Dodgers are saying, fuck it, we want to go win. All the power to them.
Amen. So yeah, further to the point, so this anchor, David Pingalore, says, update, I'm hearing the Scooble deal is essentially in place. The pieces are agreed to. The framework is done. What's holding up now is a long-term extension and ownership's approval in Detroit. The Tigers won't green light it without the owner's sign-off, and the Dodgers won't ship out a huge kind of haul without a long-term commitment from Scooble. That's the final hurdle. So I think we can safely say that the Dodgers are very much in on Terry Scooble, and all power to them. Could you imagine that, along with Yamamoto, along with who, by the way, as Rob says, deserves a freaking statue for what he did in the World Series. My God, he basically pitched unhittable. He was just basically unhittable the entire freaking World Series. He pitched every game. He's unbelievable. Now you can add Scooble to that if you want. Good Lord. And then you've got Ohtani, who's the best all-around player in the sport. Now you've got Diaz. You got Mookie Betts, who you forget about. You got Freddie Freeman, who's my dude. I love that dude. That guy's an unbelievable player. The Yankees really missed out on him. Salute to them, man. They are just nothing stops them. And I respect that, so I'm not going to hate on them for it. And Dave Roberts was asked about the possibility of a salary cap and how it would affect the Dodgers. He went, "It won't matter. We'll still dominate." Boom. So look, man.
Real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, Donald, but we do have a $2 super chat from Felix Nunez. What's going on, Felix? Appreciate you. Wonder how much money they're making off these World Series wins. Well, enough to keep spending. Enough to keep
just
spending.
show healing men's hearts comment a lot. Yeah, that's the answer. A lot of
True
money.
though. And look,
And this
any
was a
Yankee
big
fan
part of
that
it.
wants to.
Otani deferring his deal allowed them to continue
Oh
to
my
add, allowed them to get Yamamoto. If he didn't defer his contract, then Yamamoto would be a Yankee.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. But
It
shout
also
out
set
to
the
Freddie
groundwork for
O'Connor.
other players to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
It was him. He was the start of that. What's going to be, it is a dynasty already. It's going to probably be one that I can't see them losing a championship anytime soon. Especially if they go get Scooble. I don't know if that's legit or not because we have report every offseason someone comes out and tries to make the headline. If this guy's right, he's gonna ride that for his entire career,
Right.
and all the power to him. But let's just live in that world. If they do get Scooble and they say fuck it, let's go get Tucker as well. Who's beating them?
Nobody.
I don't know. It ain't the Brewers. It ain't the Mets. It ain't the Phillies. It ain't us. It ain't the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Mets right now have Williams as their closer instead of Diaz. I mean, look, there's one thing. There's narratives that need to be avoided throughout this whole thing. One, they're just buying championships. One, if you're a Yankees fan, you're a huge hypocrite to say that.
Right.
Like we said before, the Yankees, that's why we have the dynasty. But to any other fan base, this is something I always say. The second you sign a free agent, you're trying to buy a championship. So I think buying a championship is the stupidest term in all of sports. That's the whole point of free agency, is to buy a player to get you a championship.
Especially the non-salary.
Am I wrong for that?
No.
Yeah,
Those-
like
we
you
were
just
having
said,
this argument
non-salary
at
cap
work yesterday
sport.
about it.
Just
Yeah.
people want to make excuses to why they hate a certain team, and we used to be the villain. Now that the Yankees aren't winning championships, the Dodgers become the villain. It's like that in every sport. The Patriots were the villain because they kept winning every year. The Chiefs are the modern villain, but now that they're kind of falling off a little bit, it's going to become maybe Philadelphia.
The early 90s with the Cowboys.
Right. Well, fuck them. But it's just there's always going to be the villain in the sport.
Chicago
no matter
Bulls.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that
dynasty
team.
is the villain.
That team just I don't even know if teams really hate it. Maybe Knicks fans hated them, but like the Bulls were just so likable because of Jordan. But people hated to play them. And that's again, there needs to be the villain in every single sport. It's just I don't think the Bears were never a villain. That's for damn sure. But yeah, it's just
I've just got a point here. That's true. That is one thing that is true because remember Mike Lupica used to always go, the Yankee payroll is $200 million. Remember back in the 90s? Little Mike Lupica, he managed to climb up on his little stool. The Yankee payroll was $200 million. I just want to remind you. When they brought in A-Rod and all that stuff, like, he was constantly complaining about the Yankee payroll. And the Dodgers are just doing that. They're doing exactly the same thing, but no one's sitting on their little high stool going, I just want to remind you that the Dodgers payroll is $300 million. Who gives a fuck? They're winning. They're winning good. Good for them.
I think the Dodgers fans care? No.
Right?
Nope.
I ain't complaining. I mean, Armand is kind of has got a point here that maybe that Dodgers reporter might not be that reliable. But I think we can safely say, because there's a lot more rumors around that, by the way. There's a lot of rumors that we can safely say that the Dodgers are negotiating with them. Now, whether they land them or not is actually kind of irrelevant to my discussion. What I'm saying is they're going for the best. They want the best, and there's nothing that's going to stop them from achieving the best. And that's something that the Yankees have just passed on now. They're just no longer in that business anymore.
Yep.
And what do you guys think of this Kyle Tucker stuff? Did you guys see this leaked rumor that Joel Sherman was peddling lately? Did you guys come across that?
What about they're concerned about his long-term
Motor.
commitment to New York or something?
Yeah, his motor and his long-term commitment to New York and his interest in baseball. You heard that?
If that's the case, then they're not. I just feel like it's an excuse. I will say for Joel Sherman to put that out, I don't think he'd be doing like a Yankee propaganda piece because he's kind of been not been anti-Yankees, but he will fight back against the front office. So maybe there is some truth to that. It just seems like it's the Yankees saying that we're not going to go get this guy, and here's excuse number 874 why we're not going to get him.
That's what I think.
It's
Uncle Tess, do you buy it?
no, I don't. I don't think there's the pressure of playing in New York like there used to be. You know, and because Tucker's one of those, he's performed well in the spotlight. It's not like he's an up and coming player that has a lot of hype around him. He's established. So I don't think the bright lights of New York would be too much. I just think it's more. There's nothing coming from the Yankees at all. But these writers are paid to write about the Yankees. They have to come up with something. So I think that's what it is more than anything else. I think it's more trying to keep
that name. This is more driven by the media rather than the Yankees or the. Is that what you're saying?
Say again?
So you're saying that it's more driven by the media, you think, than
the
Yankees?
Yeah, absolutely.
I disagree.
Yankees will give out that, Yankees are always, we say it all the time, and it frustrates the shit out of us. The Yankees are probably one of the more tight-lipped organizations for a big market that you'll ever see. They do a lot more behind the scenes that nobody ever knows about, and they don't leak out a lot.
Right.
And it's something that drives us crazy about Cashman, but we also respect it. When he speaks, he's going to, he's really, he'll give us some lip service, but for the most part, he pretty much just says whatever's on his mind. But I don't see, I think it's all media driven because there's been nothing leaked out of the Yankee camp.
Well, we don't know that.
They got to write they have to write something.
No, but that has been a leak from the Yankee camp. Like Joel Sherman's just reporting what he heard from the Yankees that they are not that interested in him because he doesn't have a high motor, or they don't think he has a high motor.
Anybody could say they heard
interest in New York. So he is reporting what he's heard from the Yankees. Do you know
from the Yankees? Like who's it? Was there a source attached to it? Cashman was heard saying, something like that.
Well, usually that's how it works. Like they never give out who the person was. But they'll say a ranking Yankee official or something.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to name that guy. That guy would be fired instantly.
Exactly.
So I disagree with you, Tats. I'm sorry. I completely disagree. I have a hard time buying that someone who won a world championship with the Astros and hit well in playoffs in general. I have a hard time buying that he has this motor issue. And by the way, the Yankees tried to trade for him last year. Are we supposed to forget about that? The Yankees were in on him, but they just didn't want to give up Luis Gil.
I would have.
And then they should have. They freaking should have now, in hindsight. But are we supposed to forget that they tried to trade for Kyle Tucker last year? The whole thing is cost. That's what it is. It's cost. It's cost. They don't want to give up $400 million to Kyle Tucker or whatever it would cost to get him. They don't want to do it. It's about.
I wouldn't want to go that high either.
It's about. Well, that's up to you. But what I'm saying is, that's why the Yankees are not going after him. It's nothing to do with his mentality or whether his interest in New York or not or all that stuff. It's about the cost, and the Yankees don't want to go long term. They are not a long term organization anymore. That's not what they do. They go short term. Everything's short term. Everything is within a 12 month to to 24-month vacuum. That's where they constantly live. That's it. But they don't want to take on huge years from outside free agents. They just don't do it anymore. They've stopped doing that. That's not the business that they're in anymore. So this idea that they have these concerns about Kyle Tucker, I don't buy it at all. Now some might. I personally don't, because I think what the Yankees are doing are getting ahead of it. I think the Yankees are getting ahead of it because when they inevitably get asked why, when they need a left fielder and they need some protection for Aaron Judge and they need somebody that can hit 90 RBIs and can hit 40 home runs, why did you not go for the best player in the market? They're just getting ahead of it because they are solely focused, A, B, and C, and D, on Cody Bellinger, who is a clear tier, possibly 2 tiers below Kyle Tucker in terms of as a player, right? Now, obviously, last year, if you match it up, they're pretty similar. But if you look at the career, one MVP aside from Bellinger, it's not really a question. Kyle Tucker is a better player, considerably better player, better hitter now, and he really should be a Yankee. But the Yankees are getting ahead of it. They don't want to pay the bill, and now they're leaking some nonsense. I believe it's nonsense that he just doesn't want to be a Yankee. By the way, do you guys forget that CC Sabathia didn't want to be a Yankee? He had no interest in being a Yankee. He wanted to be in California. Brian Cashman knocked on that door, and he was like, you are going to be a freaking Yankee, and this is why. If Brian Cashman really wanted him, you get him. The Yankees aren't doing it anymore. They're just not involved in that stuff anymore. It comes from the owner. It has to be because but if it isn't, then for whatever reason, Brian Cashman ain't interested in Kyle Tucker. But I highly doubt it's because of some motor issue or a lack of interest in York, because those issues would have been apparent last year. And did you hear anything about it last year? No, you didn't. So this just sounds like the Yankees getting ahead of it. And what is it? Controlling the narrative. They are masters at trying to control the narrative. Amen, healing men's hearts. That's what it's about. I don't buy it, and I don't think any of you guys should either. I think it's actually kind of disrespectful on Kyle Tucker. The guy has been a very good player for a very long time. Show that guy some respect. Don't start spreading some nonsense that he doesn't want to play baseball. Fuck out of here. Ran over.
Yeah, he went to Chicago. We're going to act like Chicago's not a high or big market? It's just he played in Houston and he played in Chicago. Those are two pretty big markets. So why would New York be this this boogeyman to him? You know, I just feel like it's an excuse to not go sign a player. And again, who's next? We don't want Bo Bichette because we just don't think he's gonna play well in the city.
Right.
His fucking dad played there, so it's just like I just don't know. I feel like they do this every time when they can just flat out say we have a budget and we couldn't meet the demands for his contract, but they don't want to come out and admit that because they got to again control the narrative, and that's something that we've been screaming about for years. And everyone else that does the show is screaming about the same thing. And people want to complain about the fans like, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But it's like there's so many examples of the Yankees doing this for player A, player B. Why didn't they get Machado? Why didn't they trade for Garrett Cole when they could have? Why didn't they trade for Cliff Lee? It's like there's so many examples, and they make excuse after excuse after excuse. But we know the answer. The Yankees just don't want to give out the money that they used to. And again, I'm not asking them to match the Dodgers. I've said this so many times over the last couple of years. They don't have to match them, but just spend your money better than you are. The perfect example was Donaldson a few years ago when they added him for no reason. When they didn't want to pay Seager the same offseason, they were like, let's go trade for Josh Donaldson. It's a perfect trade-off. Absolutely. We don't need the shortstop. Let's go get the aging third baseman.
Now, Rob, while we have you, man, let's discuss some of the names that the Yankees have been linked with. Let's start with Mackenzie Gore. How would you feel about making the deal for Mackenzie Gore, and what would you be comfortable giving up? And then the same question applies to Sandy Alcantara. I think that's probably more likely than Mackenzie Gore, but we've been linked with both. We've been heavily linked with Sandy Alcantara. How would you feel about Alcantara?
No. It's flat out no.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
Why?
He's coming off a terrible year. I know it might be a buy low situation, but I think he's getting like, what, 12, 13 million. So you're willing to add that for a bad pitcher or a guy coming off a bad year. I'm sure the Yankees feel like they can fix him, but it just feels like a typical, we're going to spend a little bit, but not as much as we should because we can get him for a cheaper cost than others. I think that you can go get fucking Edward Cabrera sitting right there in Miami, dude. If there's one pitcher in Miami to go get, it's him.
Right.
And Mackenzie Gore, I don't think I agree with FJ. I don't think they need another lefty. Now, if it's Scooble, then you go get that lefty. But for Mackenzie Gore, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be too high on him. I would rather them. Doran, I'm kind of in with you on that. In terms of the money, I would rather just go get Imai. Just go get Tatsuya Imai. He makes so much sense for this team for multiple reasons. He's young. You're going to get him. The dude throws gas. He doesn't want to be a Dodger. The Giants don't want to get in a bidding war for him. The Mets don't want to go a certain amount of years for starting pitchers. The Padres have financial constraints, and they have to unload pitching to add pitching. The fucking red carpet's being rolled out for the Yankees to swoop in and get this guy, and you get back into the Japanese market. Go get Tatsuya Imai. I don't want Alcantara. I don't need Mackenzie Gore. Tatsuya Imai is the guy to go get.
I completely agree with you there. We've also been linked with some other names. Some of the Twins as well. Am I right? Felipe Lopez, am I right?
Pablo Lopez?
Pablo Lopez, that's right.
Well, they could have had him a few years ago.
Yeah,
remember that?
On him.
Yeah, they passed on him. Joe Ryan would be the guy to go get.
I like Joe Ryan.
Joe Ryan would be a big ad if they can go make a trade for him. I think he's a rental, so it kind of fits the Yankees' MO. Lately, at least. I know they like to get guys with control, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lopez, I can't remember what his contract is, but I'd be happy with that if the Twins are looking to blow it up a little bit. Although I feel like that team's relatively close. Joe Ryan has 2 years of control. Okay, I thought he was a rental. I would take 2 years of Joe Ryan, but he's going to be a big cost. That dude can throw.
Yeah, injuries limited him last year, but he's still very good.
Joe Ryan's had
contract through 2027.
He's had some solid years.
He's under contract through 2027 for $43 million. So that's another name that they've kind of checked in on. I've heard a lot about maybe Mike King reunion, but I've also heard that the Dodgers might be in on King.
Well, why wouldn't they be?
I'd
have a 12-man rotation at this rate.
The Red Sox especially want Mike King. I think that's more likely. I think Mike King.
Yeah, the Mets are linked to him as well. Mike King is going to be is going to be a competition for him.
Are the Red Sox still going after starting pitching though? Because they brought in Gray, they brought in Oviedo from Pittsburgh. Right. I think they really want Pete Alonso, and they're trying to get Ketel Marte, which would just crush me.
Oh, dude, that would be a great move. Here's something. Would you, Rob, do a trade that you're not necessarily comfortable with? Like, for instance, trading away like a Jazz Chisholm to acquire a righty bat that can play second base like a Ketel Marte? I know the years are different. Obviously, he's 32 as opposed to Jazz being right in his prime, but like something similar to that. Would you do that?
I would say yes, but Marte doesn't. He has the Yankees on his no trade list, apparently.
Right.
So if that wasn't the case, if the no trade, which, ladies and gentlemen, a no trade clause means something just for a specific person on Twitter. But if the no trade clause wasn't part of this, I would 1,000% go get Ketel Marte.
Yeah.
I like Jazz, but you need right-handed bats. And I think Marte's a switch hitter, but he can hit righty, and we need it. We need it bad. And I think you might have to make that sacrifice.
I completely agree with you there. but I don't think we're even involved in Marte. I think you're right. I think Boston are maybe going to get Pete Alonso and Marte, and then they could get Mike King. And I mean, by that point, the Yankees would be looking at being a third place team. In fact, they're probably a third place team as we speak.
Is that true, guys? John Heyman claimed Marte has waived his no trade clause completely. He scrapped it completely. He'd be willing to go anywhere.
I know Jason from 161 was saying that the Yankees were removed from his no trade list.
Well, where did Jason get that from?
I don't know, but then I'm just putting that next to what FJ is saying with John Heyman. So maybe there is a slight truth to that.
FJ, can you tell me the exact quote from John Heyman so I can? If that's the case, then there should be no reason they're not in on Ketel Marte.
But I haven't heard his name. I haven't heard the Yankees in on him at all. But to be honest, I'm not.
No, I haven't heard Marte linked to the Yankees. I've heard him linked to Boston, the Mets, but not to us.
Let's see here.
Because the last I heard, the Yankees were on his no trade list.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte has a 5-team no trade list that includes the Yankees and the Pirates. I mean, obviously the Pirates.
Well, who would want to go there?
That's why Trent Grisham accepted the Yankees qualifying offer, because he heard that the Pittsburgh Pirates were the main team that were interested in him. He's like, I'm not fucking going there, man. I'll take the $22 million to the Yankees, thanks.
There has been rumors though about Brendan Donovan. Now I know he's a lefty, but like, if they were to trade, they can. This is the word creative again. That doesn't really fit the Yankees, but if they were to go get Brendan Donovan and one of the lefty relief pitchers I've been talking about for years from the Cardinals, then maybe you can flip Jazz for more assets. And I don't want to get rid of Jazz, but Brendan Donovan is kind of more what the Yankees need in terms of contact in the lineup. And he's excellent defensively, and then you can still go sign a right-handed bat. So I just feel like there's ways to get creative here. Marte would be a perfect addition. I just wish he wasn't against coming to the Yankees. I've been talking about Brendan Donovan for like 3 years on this freaking channel. If they can make that happen, please. The prophecy needs to be fulfilled. Get me to shut up about it finally.
So the last update I heard from John Heyman, but this was in November. November 13th, according to Fireside, the Yankees are reportedly in Ketel Marte's 5-team no trade list, according to John Heyman. So has this changed? This would have to have changed within 2 weeks. I doubt that.
I haven't heard any. I haven't seen any updates on the no trade.
Right. Unless
we brought him up during the trade deadline, and that's when we saw the Yankees were on his no trade list. So I don't see why that would change now, especially the way the Yankees are tail spinning, and they're not even dominating the division, never mind the American League.
Duran has nothing to do with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a beautiful town. I've spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh. I've spent summers there. Love Pittsburgh. It's nothing to do with the town. It's just the organization.
The way the team is run. Yeah.
Why would you play for the Pirates? The Pirates are awful. So that's the problem there. Right. Chisholm is completely overrated. I don't get what the big deal is about this guy. He's got a mentality issue that holds him back. It's all between his ears, man. Because the talent's there. He's got tons of talent.
He's got to keep his mouth shut.
It's just between his ears. I'm not seeing a high IQ winner. It just seems a little bit just too cool for school.
Well, that's why I keep saying, I'm like, if you're going to be a trash talker the way that he is, you have to back it up. You can't just go, rambling your mouth and not back up what you say. I'm sorry. That's not the way it works. That's why guys like Larry Bird are so revered, the way that he always, nobody talk trash like Larry. But, he was able to back everything up. If you can't do that, then keep your mouth shut.
I personally, I love that he's confident. I like that he has that little confidence in him that's going to go out there and say what he wants to say. I do wish he'd back it up a little more. I do really like Jazz. I don't think he's overrated in the slightest. I mean, 30-30 is nothing to scoff at. The dude's an excellent defender at second base. Putting him at third base was a terrible decision. It really derailed him for like a month. I think a month worth of season that he just did not play well. Had Aaron Boone not done what he did, Jazz is probably even better this year. I just don't know if the Yankees want to extend him, and that's the only reason I can see them moving on from him. The guy's speed is completely. It's not even talked about enough. I mean, remember that Wells hit against the Red Sox? The dude was flying around the bases. The dude has the pop. He's got the. Everyone talks about how we want the guys to have a little more energy in the dugout, and he brings that, and then we're gonna knock him for it. So I don't. I think Jazz has a target on his back for some reason from a portion of this fan base. I don't know. I just don't think he's as a head case as people think he is. I don't really think he is.
No, I don't either.
I actually do. I think he is. I don't know, man. It's
I know. Yeah.
When he got himself thrown out, I believe against the Marlins, and he was just like, "I would do it again. I've played here." Like, remember that play in particular?
That was one of the times I did rip him for opening his
mouth. He was
mouth.
standing off first base, and he was trying to get himself thrown out for no reason. He was like, "Oh, I've played here. I'd do it again." Like, what are you talking about? It's just like it was a stupid play. Like, there's no excuse for it. It's that kind of stuff that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, I'm just not quite sure about his IQ. His talent's unbelievable. I love his talent. His talent's remarkable, but and there's been times where he keeps like mouthing to the point where he gets himself thrown out. And out of games, you've called him out on that a couple of occasions. That kind of stuff, I'm just not quite sure whether he's like totally locked in on the game all the time. But I don't dislike the guy. I like him a lot, and I'm more than happy to have him be a part of the organization next year. But for a long-term contract, that I'm not sure yet. But it's been a successful trade, no doubt. One last thing regarding Brian Cashman. This is interesting. Brian Cashman was asked if he could afford to wait on Cody Bellinger because the Yankees have players like Dominguez and Jones. I don't know if it's afford to wait. I think we're opportunistic. We like our players. That is a fact. But there's players outside of our current control system that we also like and may very well like more and better because there's a lot more certainly there, which comes at cost, whether it's a trade acquisition or free agent dollars. So it's my job to play on that stuff and try to figure that out. And if we can come to an area that makes a lot of sense, then we're ready to pounce and kind of change the equation. But if not, we like what we have too. At the same time, Dominguez is on his journey and Spencer Jones is just beginning his journey. Those are two names, but I got no idea how this is going to play out. What do you guys read out of that?
Go run for office, Brian. Jesus Christ. This dude's such a politician. None of that gives me any bit of confidence. I mean, I'm not supposed to know what he's working on. I get that. We know that he works Ninja Cash, but this dude is such a politician. I guarantee you he can run and win some freaking job in government. I don't know where, maybe some like obscure city in Wyoming or something, but like he might be able to go win a spot in the government. This guy speaks like a pure politician.
I know. He should be the mayor of New York.
He said he wants him to be more platoon oriented. That's another quote from him just recently.
So it's all just kind of, you're right. It's all just circles.
It's just a bunch of word salad. He doesn't know.
We have 106 people in the building. If y'all could hit that like button, hit the share button, and hit the hype button, and hit the like button, and hit the sub button. Sub's good. We like more subs. We've been getting tons more subs over the last week. Love to get tons more. So if you guys could do all the good stuff, please, helps keep the lights on and continue giving you more and more content. But we love the fact that every other day, 100 people are always in watching the Pinstripe Chronicles right live. We love that. And then, of course, there's tons more that watch after the show, but we do really appreciate those that want to watch us live. I think it's just an absolute pleasure to talk Yankees with you all. So um, I just wanted to take that time just to say a big salute to you guys. You guys are the best.
And with that, that is going to wrap things up for us today. Before we do start off, just real quick on that whole Cashman thing. It's like I feel like I just watched the ending of Billy Madison, and I just feel stupid if I haven't listened to that. That's what it feels like with Cashman when he speaks. But with that, we do hope everybody did enjoy the show. We enjoyed hanging out with everybody and all the discussions, the debates, the disagreements. We enjoy it all. So with that, make sure you do hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. I'm Uncle Taz with Donald and Rob. We are the Pinstripe Chronicles. We will see you next time. Remember, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.